And so
that's a good way to put it.
it is.
It's always, my hair is always
done. Put some flexi rods in it, and so I'm enjoying the experience now. Like you know, I'm trying different things and flexi rods and perm rods and you know just these different things that you know people say you're people are like, oh, Sister Locks, you're so limited. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
Oh my goodness, I can do so many things to my hair. I love it. I'm enjoying the journey that I'm on. Mm-hmm. Even to the point you see my sons. You know, my sons are going down that road, and so you know, I'm enjoying it.
The power of influence when you get locks, right? Mm-hmm. I think if you're in a family where no one has locks, mm-hmm. and then somebody decides to get locks, and then you show your confidence, mm-hmm. you show your freedom, I think there becomes a power of influence in the family where now everybody is like, okay, let's all get locks. Mm-hmm. You know, I want big locks, I want smaller locks, I want this, I want comb coil, or I want palm roll locks. It just becomes this thing, and I think you buy back family time too, mm-hmm. right? So the investment was definitely, to me, when I say that getting locks is an investment, I'm talking about the fact that you get back so much mm-hmm. with this investment, and it's endless. It's just endless possibilities, you know. And you have the freedom to just really be who you mm-hmm. want to be, and not get stuck in I guess what the definition of beauty to society mm-hmm. is, which I think is limited anyway, because mm-hmm. beauty is in different forms, mm-hmm. you know. So I tell people when they go and get their locks, it doesn't matter what type of locks mm-hmm. That you get, in the sense of what your personality is like. All locks are beautiful. Mm-hmm. So if somebody goes, oh, I don't like, those locks, I'm like, all right, you have an opinion. That may not be your preference, mm-hmm. but they're still beautiful in their own right. Mm-hmm. Because I'm looking at, it's not the hair that I'm looking at the confidence mm-hmm. of the person. But on the opposite side of that spectrum is you can also tell when people have locks when they're going through something too. Can't you? Mm-hmm. Now that you have them and you've been experiencing mm-hmm. it, it's like, man, what's going on with you? Do you need a hug? Mm-hmm. Your zeal is gone. Like, what's mm-hmm. going on? And so I think the beautiful thing about hair is that I guess it'll tell on you after a while, whether you have confidence or whether you're going through a different stage in life. Some people are grieving, mm-hmm. especially around these holiday seasons. Mm-hmm. During the holiday seasons, I think we see the most grief, and you can see it in people's hair, mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm happy for you. I'm happy that your boys have now taken the plunge. Mm-hmm. And how old are the boys?
15 and 18. Okay. So they're still, young adults, but like
both of them got locks?
Yeah, my 18-year-old just got locks too.
Look at him!
Yeah, so my baby's had him for a while.
Yeah.
But he just got him too, and so he's, they're both very different types of locks, right?
Yeah.
But I think, once they saw mom take the plunge, they were like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
And so I think we're a household full of locks.
Now,
right?
do you think your husband's going to get locked?
He's too much.
Military,
he's all about clean cut,
I asked Jim the other day, I was like, why don't you let me put some locks in your hair? And he was like, that's never going to happen. He is so military, dress right, dress clean cut.
Yes.
I mean, he's just now starting to grow out his beard, and even that is like a huge stretch for him, because he's like, I don't know about this beard thing. I'm like, dude, it's okay. Get yourself a beard. In one hand he wants it, and then on the other hand he's like, for 27 years
mm-hmm.
I've not had a beard.
Mm-hmm. That's the one thing that my husband has did since he retired, right? Grow out his beard.
Yeah.
Like that's
that's the act of defiance,
right? And that's the most that he'll go. Like, my husband would. He's very clean, cut, he's even, my son that's in Air Force, he's FaceTime him, he's like, your hair is too long. What,
it's like, Dad, calm down. It's different standards over here in the Air Force.
It's a little different. He's like, we're allowed to grow our hair out, my husband's like, your hair is too long. oh, you are a rag.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yep, that's why you're retired.
Yep. They're military, okay, sir?
Stay retired. It's for your best interest, you
Right?
know?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I am really enjoying, my hair is just, it's
Flourishing.
just, it is, it's just, and my edge, you know, just everything, like.
And for a minute though, like even when we say trust the process, like for a minute there, it was like, I need some moisture in my locks.
Very much so. And it's, you know what, it's such a trial and error, right?
Yep.
You really get to know your hair.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
And what works, you know, for all may not work for some, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so may not work for you, and you know, because you know, I was oversaturated. You know, and you just have to find that balance and what works for your hair, right?
What's the story? Tell the story.
Oh, I was using what story? Using the whole bottle of oil in my hair. You was like, oh yeah, I can tell you put the oil in, girl, 'cause this, you know, and so, and we tried various things, right?
Yep.
And so now I think I've perfected my regimen, right, of my hair,
It feels so good.
and what works for my hair, and not using a whole bottle of oil on my hair every day, right? So.
He was like, yeah, I ran through that really fast. I was like, what do you mean that you ran through the oil pretty fast?
Like, that oil's supposed to last you.
I was like, yeah, it did nothing for me.
And so, yeah, I, you know, all the products that you sell, right, like have really helped, I think, truly, you know, with my hair also thriving, right?
Yeah.
And so the rosemary shampoo and then the leave-in, you know, I think all of those were, for my hair, great.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, just finding that, like you said, that happy medium.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you play with the formula,
Yeah.
right? And it's true. What works for somebody else may not work for you. And so that even goes through, you know, typically most people, when people get locks, they tell them you can't put any oil in your hair, or you can't do this and you can't do that. But you gotta know yourself.
I was like, Sharika, I need some oil in my, you know.
I was
He was like,
yes,
do it.
Let's go.
He was
right?
like, do it.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's like you have to. I think you have to have a level of awareness too. Whenever you get your locks, you're doing a side part today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I think you got to have a level of self-awareness, so that way you can also make this journey your own, and that you're not really depending upon the loctician's knowledge. Now, granted, I'm a professional, right? So I'm going to tell you what I feel is in your best interest, but I think the fact that we were able to communicate with one another, that we were able to come up with, okay, let's try this.
Yeah, we were trying different things, right?
Let's go. I was like, okay, let me look at my product line and let's see what we have here. Okay, here's something thicker. And I'm like, I would usually use this on someone who has more mature locks. And I was like, but no, because you know, my pet peeve is I don't like dry, crunchy, dusty locks. It's just not going to be a thing, right? And I'm like,
We need to do something.
we got to do something. Let's go. So I like the fact that we were able to communicate with one another, and I don't feel like, or do you, and you can be completely transparent, do you ever felt like there was a time that you could not talk to me about your locks?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
That's being like 100%, like absolutely not.
Yeah.
You're always open, right? And like, I'm like, okay, now I did a thing. And
Yeah.
you'd be like, okay, well, let's go back to the start from
Yeah.
scratch, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of level set me. And so, no, because this is, you know, new. And so sometimes we don't really know what we don't know. And so, you know, I ask a lot of questions like, okay, am I doing this right? Am I doing that wrong? And, you know, and so, no, I think even, you know, outside of our appointments, right?
Yeah.
You send us a list of the things, and then we have that open communication, right? Of, hey, this ain't looking right, right? And so, you know, hey, send me a picture, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I remember when I first got it done, I'm like, oh, I think one is coming undone or something, you know, one of my baby hairs, you know, and you're like, no, it's okay, you know, and so. Yeah, no, open communication is vital, right?
Yeah.
You gotta have that. If you're not gonna communicate with, you know, communicate.
And which is good because, you know, can you think back on the times wherever you got a service and it almost felt like whenever you walked into the service you were getting scolded?
really a lot of business.
Explain that experience.
Oh goodness. So no,
That's situational awareness versus to what you have right now. Let the people know.
So, for example, say you had braids or something, right?
Right.
And I'm trying to be as general as possible. So, say you have braids, and maybe you're coming in to get just a your edges done or something, and you go in there and they're like, well, what did you do? You took too much hair down. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. I'm like, well, I didn't know, you know, and so, or what are you putting in your hair, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, or are you washing your hair? Or what do you know? And so, like you said, it's kind of a scolding,
Yeah.
right? As opposed to an education, right? And trying to educate your clients, right, on different things. It's just, but I think it just goes to a level of professionalism too.
Right.
100%. 100%.
And so, I have learned, I have stories for days, but I'll just kind of use that general, story of, why do you do that? Well, because I didn't know, right? And so.
Yeah, because you don't know. And I think that there's nothing wrong. And I think, and let me also say, I think for me, because I'm an educator, I've always purposed myself as the subject matter expert. With, though, the mindset of this is the classroom when you come in, and you may have some knowledge or you may not. And I think part of the beautiful thing about teaching when you're the subject matter expert is that you're not in a position to belittle people, but you're truly there to help educate them so they can be the best version of themselves, or they can have the best version of locks that they have, right? And I think when I look back even in the school system, it's like, how did you expect a second grader to know how to write a complete sentence if they were never taught on how to write the complete sentence? ChatGPT just cannot do everything, right? YouTube just cannot do the end all be all for a person that is now in this lock journey era that they find themselves in. And so I think if we can have that mindset as small business owners or educators or the subject matter expert in that particular craft when you have clients, I think it will make that experience more pleasurable. But then I also believe the flip side is that is how you build client retention. Nobody wants to go into an atmosphere where they feel like they're going to be belittled, scolded, right? And so, and I think that also is because we're in the land of social media, right? And so you see certain people's pages, and this is not a past judgment. This is really more an educational standpoint of your clients are typically looking at your social media pages, and if you're sitting there talking about this one didn't listen to this client and that client, I think subconsciously when the client enters into said shop, there's already a level of fear that's taking place, right? There's some uncomfortableness that's taking place. There may be some insecurity because you never know what may trigger a person, right? Does that make sense? And that leads for you not having a pleasurable experience.
Correct. And you come for your experience, right? Because you can go to anybody, but you come for me for the conversation, the community, right?
Yeah.
And so if you come in somewhere and like you said, where you're feeling very vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
Or you're feeling like you're being judged.
That's good.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you're like, on pins and needles. So, okay. And then it's just a way how you address the issues, right?
Right.
A client can be doing something wrong, but if you're like, why did you do this? Right. As opposed to, oh, well, maybe you should have, done this, or maybe, and educating them and having that conversation. It'll be received better too, right?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And then I also think if you're asking a client, why are you doing X, Y, and Z, right? Just from a business standpoint, and you literally have no retail, you have no products, right? And so now they have been left to go fend for themselves. You really can't, I don't think that's a fair question to ask somebody.
Why are they doing something?
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm doing it because you don't have products and you never told me if there was a particular product line. Like, what if somebody came back and said that? That would be comical. But it's the truth, right? You didn't supply me with a product line. Or so I always tell people when I'm teaching, you have to have the solution to the problems. You should already anticipate X, Y, and Z problem sets that may arise in someone's lock journey, and you should be able to have the solution. And so even going back to you, when you were having the dry scalp, the dry hair, it wasn't like, okay, go to Sally's and I need for you to get nothing, no harm, no foul on Sally's, or let's go to the local beauty supply, or you know what, you should order this online, because chances are, especially when you're telling somebody to go order something online, they're gonna forget as soon as they leave, you know, because we have really busy lives, and so, like, I know if I told you something, one of the first things that you're gonna do, know your audience. You're gonna pull your phone out. You're like, okay, now wait a minute. Now what did you say? Let me go ahead and get this over with, because you know I'm over 40 and we the mind is minding right now, you know. And so
when you leave, you're on to the next thing.
Yeah, you are. And then you have the busyness of life, and then you don't remember until when? Until you go back into the shop and you're like, oh shoot, I forgot I was supposed to get X, Y, and Z. So yeah, and I think that's what fosters the relationship, right? It's that place where you can be safe, you can be vulnerable, but then also you can get some knowledge on how the best. I don't even know why my hand is way up here, child. I'm touching the heavens trying to do your retightening right now. I'm gonna mess up my whole arm. But anyway, so yeah, just fostering that line of communication, right? And understanding the needs of your clients. Have you ever felt like you haven't been heard?
No.
That's a beautiful thing.
It is like, I'm telling you, it's that, it's a two-way, right? Conversation, and you know, I'm like, oh, what about trying this? And you hear me out, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, and then we come to a happy medium. Like, well, maybe don't put so much, right?
Yeah.
Don't do this. Maybe just try that. And so, no. And I think you're open to, hey, well, because I know my hair. You know, and so I know what works. Or what I think what works, you know, well. And so, yeah, no, I think you have always been open, honest, right? Like, okay, well, maybe we're doing this, and maybe you want to, you know, and so and I love the fact that you do have products. Right? Because like you said, how are you going to tell somebody they're doing something wrong if you don't give them that solution? And so I think, and then for me, it's convenience as well, that I can leave here with my products and go home and not have to worry about going to another place or ordering online. It's there, readily available. So I even get my son, you know, the stuff there. So I think, you know, having, you know, that product available is fabulous.
Yeah.